Hello, everyone. This is Pastor Scott for another one of my Tuesday updates during this very crazy Lenten season that we're all journeying on together. This is Tuesday, March 31, last day of March, and happy to be with you, happy to share with you, and thanks to all you who've been watching the at-home worships. Really appreciate it. You know, one of the things that my wife Kathy and I have been doing during this Lenten season is that we've been watching a television show called The Chosen. I don't know if you've heard about the show or not. You probably have, but it's a fictionalized, well, it's pretty close to the biblical text, but it's a dramatized, that's a better word, a dramatized version of the ministry of Jesus, starting at the beginning of his ministry and presumably moving on from there. And we've really liked it. It's been really good. And I can be kind of critical of shows like this, but the acting has been tremendous. The writing is solid. The production values are very high. Really have enjoyed it. And I think one of the things I've enjoyed most about this show is how much it humanizes Jesus for me. I mean, we see Jesus laughing and teasing the other disciples and dancing and eating and drinking and just seems to really being enjoying his life as well as teaching and saying incredible things and healing people and all the rest, challenging people, all the rest. I just have really enjoyed this show. And by the way, those Chosen episodes are free to watch. If you go to YouTube and you type in The Chosen in the search engine, you'll find their YouTube page, and you can watch all these episodes for free, and I highly recommend it. So last night's episode was a detailing in part of the late night visit of Jesus by the Pharisee Nicodemus. Do you remember that story? Nicodemus comes to Jesus at night and basically says, "Are you the Messiah? Are you the one we're looking for?" And this is where Jesus tells him that you must be born again, those famous words. But I was reminded that this is where Jesus reminded Nicodemus of a story from the Old Testament. This takes place during the journey of the people of Israel to Egypt, and the people of Israel sinned against God. And God, as a consequence, sent snakes, poisonous snakes among them. And people were bitten, and people were dying and died, and all of that. And the people cry out to Moses, "Do something!" And Moses cries out to God, "Do something!" And God tells him to make a bronze serpent, a serpent out of bronze, to put it on a pole and hold it up. And every one of the people of Israel who looked on the snake and believed were healed. They didn't die. And then after Jesus reminds Nicodemus of that story, who Nicodemus, I'm sure, knew it very well, it's where you get the famous line where Jesus says, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. For God didn't send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him." Well, anyway, I was thinking about that episode, that scene this morning when I was driving here to church, and it reminded me that Jesus knew his fate all along. He knew he would be crucified and killed. He knew about the beatings and the torture and the humiliation. I mean, he knew it all along, and yet he didn't let that control him. He didn't obsess about it. He didn't let that become his sole focus. I mean, he still taught and healed and laughed and ate and connected with people. You know what? If that would have been me, I think I would have spent my whole life dreading my death, and so I never would have really lived. In other words, Jesus was still able to live in each moment, for each moment. Maybe that's part of what God's supposed to be teaching me. Maybe that's part of what God's leading me to do in this uncertain times, is to live in each moment, to seek the good in each moment, and then surrender the future, whatever it is, to him. I guess that's my encouragement this week. You know, we can't do a thing about this virus except what we're already doing, which is trying to flatten the curve. So let's keep our focus on what's right ahead of us and surrender things like when this is going to end or what it's going to be like. Surrender those things to Christ. Now, there are things that make this really hard for sure, and I'm not trying to minimize that. My prayers are with you parents who are homeschooling right now. I know that's got to be hard. My prayers are with people who've lost their jobs, people who are struggling financially, with medical professionals, with people on the front lines in hospitals and nursing homes, praying for you all. Know these are hard times for all of us. But as hard as these times can be and are, can we find some ways to delight in the small moments, in the good news that's all around us? I mentioned that I highly recommend The Chosen, but you know what I also recommend? I recommend Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show at Home edition. He films this thing in his home with his family as his crew, and it's really good. It's not very long. It's really good. But you know what makes it so good? It's not the big moments. It's not the big guests and such that make it work. It's the small moments. The laughter he shares with his kids that are spontaneous. The teasing of his wife. The homemade graphics. When things go wrong, and they do. That's what makes it work. It's real. There's a joy, a fun to it that just can't be faked. John Krasinski has something called Some Good News Network, which is sort of the same thing and has many of those same qualities. Faith, in its purest form, is delighting in what God has given us and trusting Him for what we need. I'm trying to grow in that myself during this time. Okay, some updates. Working right now on at-home Palm Sunday worship. Pastor Quinn's going to bring in a message that's going to be really good. And we're going to try to send you some paper palms electronically through email and through our website for you or your kids and moms and dads, parents, adults. You can do this too. Color and cut out and have them ready to wave next Sunday when we worship together. And if you do that, if you cut the palms out and wave them or use your own palms or whatever, send us some pictures after the worship service on Facebook or whatever of your family waving palms, will you? We love those. They're really encouraging to us when you send us pictures, so do that. We'll have some news next Tuesday during this update on our Holy Week together, even though we have to be apart, on a very special Good Friday and Easter from At Home Worship. Look for that. I want you to know your prayer requests are always welcome. Prayers@westwoodchurch.net is the email address. Send us those prayers and we pray for those. I pray for them every day. So just really do that. Praying for you, my brothers and sisters. I'm going to see you on Sunday at Home Palm Sunday Worship. Even though I'm not preaching, I'll still be around. And if you need something before then, don't hesitate. Drop me a line. Until then, bless you. May God's peace be with us all. May we enjoy the small moments, even in the times like these.